Monday noon, the time is here. Shane and I'll be loud and clear. Pacific vibes, we bring the heat. AI agents can't be beat. AI agents hour, let's go. News and guests, the big show. Solving problems, we do it live. Stay informed, it's a vibe. Building agents that work for you. Making moves, we see it through. Every week, a brand new show. Tag along and watch your knowledge grow. AI agents hour, let's go. News and guests, the big show. Answering questions, we arrive. Every Monday, come alive. We want reviews, but only if it's a 5. We share the drama, we got the drive. Stay in the loop, it's the place to be. Shane and I'll be setting you free. Agents Hour, here to stay. Tune in Mondays, make your day. From the news to the problem solved. AI world, get involved.
Every week in AI, something insane happens.
And there's so much drama. Every Monday, we break it down live.
We do the news, we bring on guests, building in the space.
And we go deep into the stuff that actually matters.
Agents Hour, every Monday, noon Pacific.
Follow. Don't miss it. Peace.
This is Agents Hour with Shane Thomas and Abi Iyer.
What up?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Agents Hour. I'm Shane. I'm here with Abi.
What's up?
And as you can tell, we're in person today, so that's cool. It's May 4th. It's Star Wars Day. What are you doing to celebrate? Are you a Star Wars fan?
I'm a Star Wars fan, hanging out with you, you know. May the 4th be with everyone.
Yeah, if you celebrate, enjoy Star Wars Day. I don't know, I'm like a mid Star Wars fan. I don't know, like I'm not like I haven't seen all the new episodes, all the new, you know.
I haven't seen any of the new ones.
I've seen like I don't watch the shows, but I've seen almost all the movies now. But I do. I'm a fan of the originals, I guess.
Yeah. Luke, I'm your father.
Abi once told me that he thought he actually thought that the good guys were the bad guys and the bad guys were the good guys.
Yeah,
he tried to convince me that.
Well, I still believe that, dude. The Empire should have won, dude. Empire should have won. Long live the Empire.
No, that's a hot take, you know. As you can see, we're on site in studio, thanks to our friends, Code Rabbit, for letting us borrow the
beautiful
space.
Studio. If y'all don't use Code Rabbit, we do, and y'all should too. Code Rabbit is an AI review product, and much more. Actually, we'll talk about that later. Other features they do, but at Mostra, we generate a lot of code. So many PRs. Now that we're using Devin too, like there's just unimaginable amounts of PRs being created. And we have a rule on our team, which is the rabbit must be quiet before the PR gets merged. So thanks Code Rabbit for not only sponsoring open source projects like ours, but giving us the space in this dope ass studio. So thank you guys again.
Can't merge unless the rabbit's happy. And
the rabbit has to be happy.
If you want some comedy, just go look at a few of my PRs and how it tears me apart.
Yeah.
But you know, it's all it's for the best. Sometimes I need it. But before we get into it today, we are on site in San Francisco. There's a lot going on this week.
Yeah, tons of stuff.
Let's talk about some of the things that are happening this week.
So it's Founder Week at Mostra, so we're all together, which is going to be super fun. Tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo, so we'll definitely get some tequila in while we can. And we actually have like a private event that we're throwing for a lot of our peers. So sorry y'all aren't invited. And then on Wednesday, we have our first ever Mostra meetup with we're co-sponsoring with a company called OpenBox. And we have developers from Copilot Kit, WorkOS, ourselves. We'll do a panel. Yeah. So that's Wednesday in the city. So if y'all want to come, go to the Luma event. You'll find it. I think it's like Agents in the Wild is the event name.
Nice.
Thursday, we have Camp AI. That's Auth Zero's event. It's at Digital Jungle. And it's more, AI talk. And I think I'm on the panel for that one. And so, yeah, I hope to see everyone there. And I think all these events are being recorded in some way. So, take a look if you're not in SF. And I'm smiling because Eric, our friend Eric's over there, and that was cool. So yeah.
I'm also noticing our camera doesn't always switch. We're trying out this new thing where the camera's supposed to follow whoever's talking, and then we're just focused on me the whole time you were just talking there. But we'll figure that out. We'll
This is definitely an advanced setup than we're used to.
Yeah, I feel a little out of sorts. Normally I'm just doing this from my basement.
Yeah.
No, I have a nice setup. Don't get me wrong, but it isn't quite as elaborate as we got going on here. Dude, I'm really excited for the Agents in the Wild event. That's gonna be fun. So hopefully you all can make it if you're near the city.
Yeah, if you like pizza.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how many people. I looked and it went from like being launched to having like 200 people signed up. So I don't know actually if you can even get in at this point, but you should try if you can. Love to see.
I think
you
we're
all.
like at 300 something now.
Okay. Yeah. Dang.
I don't even know if that place can fit 300 people. To be honest,
that's what I'm worried about. But yeah, hopefully they all show up. I think it's gonna be a great event. It's gonna be a fun week. Get a lot done. Gonna spend some time in the dungeon when we're not at events.
The dungeon, dude.
That's where
I'm ready for the dungeon.
That's where the work gets done, in the dungeon.
A lot of monster stuff happening this week, so stay tuned. A lot of releases. Oh, there's another event I totally forgot about. This week is Temporal Replay, starting tomorrow to the 7th. And Mastra is part of the Temporal ecosystem as of, right now, actually. There's a release going on for our Temporal integration. So we're part of the Temporal family when it comes to integrations now. So check it out. It's all over town. There's so many billboards and stuff about it. So if you're in the city, check it out.
And the other thing, there's another event going on. We're not going to be able to go because we have a different event. But you're telling me about this a super special event going on that we will not unfortunately be at, but some of you all might.
So if y'all know, GPT 5.5 has come out, and I think it's amazing. It's a really good model.
Yeah, it's good.
OpenAI is throwing a 5.5 party on 5.5 at 5:55. So all the fives are happening. Our friends from CodeRabbit are going, so they'll let us know how fun it is, and I'm sure they're going to have great tacos and all that because it's Cinco de Mayo. But that's pretty exciting. It's going to be one of those like SF parties that there'll be a lot of pictures, and we'll be having so much FOMO because we have our own thing going on that day.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk quite a bit about OpenAI and 5.5 when we get into the news today, of course. How couldn't we? But yeah, I'm sure that's going to be a good event. I will definitely have some FOMO after I see the pics.
Yeah, we'll just have to live through like Juan and Eric as they go there.
Yeah, we will. We'll at least get some of the the tea afterwards, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, we'll probably do the thing we do every week. We don't have any guests today. We're going to keep it kind of short. So if you're tuning in, know that it's going to be shorter than normal episode. Next week, I think we have 2 guests lined up. We have at least 1 lined up the week after that. So we'll be hitting you with a whole bunch of new guests coming in. But this week, we're just going to be doing the news. So why don't we go ahead?
There's still a lot to talk about, too.
Yeah,
so.
There's always a lot of drama. Let's go ahead. Let's get into the drama. Let's do the news.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so this week...
I feel like the camera loves me. I'm just going to throw that out there.
It loves you when no one's talking, but when you're talking, it shows me.
You.
We got a lot of news, a lot of great things to talk about today, a lot of drama. We'll go ahead and get into it. All right, so let's start with our friend, David Kramer's post. He said, TUIs are not good. Sorry, y'all. A CLI is utility and situational. This should not be confused with stuffing a fully interactive GUI into a low capability platform. Let's ignore all the great UI technology for the last 20 years and build some caveman shit.
It's a typical David take for sure. I believe Dax also replied to this, like,
Of course.
you hate us because you ain't us,
Yeah, of course, because it feels like it was probably targeted. I doubt it was targeted specifically at open code, but
Yeah.
they got to feel a certain way about a post like this.
I think most of these AI products are CLI, and like everyone's going CLI first. So like if your users are already at the CLI, then you have to build a good TUI. There's a lot of nice libraries to do so now too. But I also kind of feel the sentiment, like I don't really like TUIs that myself.
No, I had someone try to convince me that they were getting all their business folks using Claude Code and that everyone would be using a CLI, and I held my tongue, but I wanted to say bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. I'm sorry. I think I don't mind using a CLI. Like I'm a developer. I'm an engineer. Like give me whatever's going to be the most effective tool for the job. However, I think as more and more people are starting to use Claude Code, I just don't see the TUI is not the interface of AI long term.
Yeah. And also like Codex app is a beautiful app. So like you don't have to just use TUIs. And that people are investing in the app version of these things as well. Maybe Claude is not that great, like Cowork and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's getting better though. I think it's getting better. I think there will be there's always going to be the NeoVim users, right?
Yeah.
They're going to exist. They're going to be power users. You're going to have TUIs, I think, for all this stuff. But but there's a reason that tools like Superset or Conductor, they're kind of a layer of UI on top of your, CLI. So I think that over time we're going to see more and more things get pulled out. It's just, I think that's the interface that was easiest to build first, right? You don't have to build it. You don't have to think about the UI as much when it's just, a terminal window.
Yeah.
But I think people and teams are going to expand beyond that eventually. So I actually agree with David here. It's not the final form factor.
Yeah. And like, so Dax has a counter to David, and he says, we built OpenTUI so executives could prompt cool terminal apps that make them feel hackery and remind them of the younger days when they were useful.
Which I feel like was kind of like a dig at David back a little bit. Yeah. So anyways, yeah. Tell us what you think. If you're in the chat, let us know. What do you think of?
Yeah, let's pull up the chat.
Yeah, do you got anything in the chat? Yeah. It'd be nice if the GUIs weren't just Electron slop.
That's very true.
That's another good point. Yeah, a
point.
lot of it is just, Electron apps that,
like
the most performant.
Everyone should go to their battery on their computer and tell me what's taking significant energy, and it's probably an Electron app.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm seeing two on my computer right now.
All right. Yeah. I had one of those apps using yesterday 500 gigabytes of memory.
Like, that's not even possible.
No,
but like...
it was just, that's what it told me. 500. So yeah. And then, the real JMT says sometimes Electron slop still beats a TUI,
Dang, so it's pretty divisive in the comments right now.
Yeah, this is a hot topic. As you can see, there's a reason that it made people feel a certain way.
Yeah.
So this was funny. So if you've been following the show for a while, you know that you haven't been following it for a long time. But back in YC, Abby and I used to go to a lot of meetups. I mean, we still do.
Yeah.
But we did because we were introducing a lot of people to Mastra. We were learning about what everyone else was doing with AI, and we eventually came to this realization that if you wanted to in San Francisco, you could basically eat for free every night of the week.
Yep.
You just go to Luma, find an AI event, and you probably can get free pizza. And so we talked about actually trying to do that for a week. We never did it.
No.
But there were many times where we had 3 or 4 nights where we just ate pizza for free.
I have like pizza PTSD, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't do it anymore.
And so it's really funny that Kenzie McDonald, looks like from Browser Base, said she spent $22 on a salad. What if food was just free? So she built an agent that scrapes every SF Tech event and ranks them by free food probability. And she did it in less than 10 minutes with Browser Base and Stagehand. And so there you go. If you're in San Francisco, you want to eat for free, do what Abby and I were going to do and never did, and what Kenzie just tried to prove was possible. You can just go to tech meetups.
There are definitely people who I see at all these meetups that like once the pizza gets there or the sushi or whatever they have, some people are stepping their game up with like sushi and stuff. That's good for you guys. But like you see them in the beginning of the event, the minute the food is like served, they eat and then they're just gone. Like they do not stay. So like someone is definitely hacking the system here.
I mean, we've hosted an event, and you know what I'm talking about. There's a person that came, and they said, you know, they were not really in tech, but they were just like exploring.
Yeah.
And guaranteed, they just came for the free food.
They came
Which
for the
is
free
fine.
food.
Like more props to you. You're being smart. You know, come get a free meal. Why not?
I went to a tech event last week and I was like, you know, just casual conversation. I was like, hey, why are you here? And he's like, free food. And then he left.
All right, so let's get into the first section. We're gonna call this section "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah.
Pets are now in Codex. It's like Tamagotchi is back.
Tamagotchis are back. And OpenClaw I think, is very much responsible for this craze, right?
Yeah, they started it, and they had all the Claw logo was everywhere.
Yeah.
The Claw social network. There's
Yeah.
a ton of stuff. I saw a tweet that also said recently, LinkedIn is basically just the same as Mopebook now, which is kind of funny. If you remember the social network for AI agents.
Which was acquired by Meta.
Yeah.
That's how you know they suck. Just saying.
So pets in Codex. I have not tried this because I don't see the purpose
Yeah.
yet, but some people were saying it's pretty cool. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think I'm going to try it, dude.
I don't know. If you're in the chat, have you tried pets in Codex yet? Tell us if you tried it, why you're using it, you know, why others should consider using it. I don't know. I haven't seen the use for it, but you know, people like Tamagotchis.
I think people
back in the day.
like AI companions and stuff. So like a pet is like a cute way. Instead of talking into like some ominous CLI or something, you're talking to your pet or whatever.
Yeah, it's like your assistant that's going to help you write your code better, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Pets in Codex. I thought this was pretty funny. Apple apparently accidentally left their Claude MD files in their Apple support app update. So people were seeing their Claude MD files from the Apple support app. So Apple is using Claude models.
Yeah, and they kept it in. They left it out of their git ignore. So makes sense. It can happen to anyone.
Yeah. I saw this one last week too. The GPT 5.5 prompt for Codex seems to have a duplicated line trying to get it to not talk about creatures. And it says, never talk about goblins, gremlins, raccoons, trolls, ogres, pigeons, or other animals or creatures unless it is absolutely and unambiguously relevant to the user's query.
But why? I wonder.
And then I saw some tweets from like Sam Altman, basically like joking about goblin mode, right? It's like there's a goblin mode in Codex. So I don't know if it's just like the model had a tendency to want to like anamorphize these creatures into the prompt or like into the responses or something. So it's
just so weird because like pigeons is on the list. I guess pigeons are monsters of the sky, but like, raccoons and pigeons. It's interesting. Maybe because they don't want it to conflict with the pet. Who knows?
And in that same vein, so Pika Labs introduced the next AI interface for creation, a person. Pika agents are the creative partner you birth. They have a voice, face, and personality that you create, and they enable an entirely new way to make, refine, and ship anything simply by having a human conversation. So it's basically just like a more personalized AI agent that helps you build videos and do creative things within Pika. But still, it's very much on theme of like creating characters or personalization around an AI agent.
Same from like the OpenClaw world of like having a soul.md, right? To give your agent some personality or like a mission statement or whatever. This one's pretty cool because you can generate your character with like Seed Dance 2.0. It kind of looks like, some anime stuff or whatever, but like it's a cool idea. I just don't know how many people want to do this. Maybe they do. So that's interesting.
So Saron Almighty says, it didn't work. I get it talking about goblins and gremlins all the time. So yeah, maybe they needed to do it a third time.
Yeah,
if they only added a third emphasis on do not talk about goblins and gremlins, they could have maybe done
I'm
it.
gonna ask Codex about some goblins while we chat here too.
So let's talk a little bit about Cursor SDK. So this came out last week. Cursor introduced the Cursor SDK so you can build agents with the same runtime harness and models that power Cursor. Run agents from CI/CD pipelines, create automations for end-to-end workflows, or embed agents directly inside your products. So I think it's, Cursor is trying to, well, they obviously have that big deal with SpaceX, right?
Yep.
Potential, most likely acquisition offer. Like, who knows if it'll actually go through. But Cursor wants to be part of not just in your IDE, but in your workflows.
Yeah. And you can leverage their harness in your own applications, very much like a Claude Code Agents SDK situation, as well as OpenAI Agents SDK. It's probably in response to those SDKs existing.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you really like the Cursor harness, you can just start building with it outside of the VS Code thing that they provide you.
Yeah, so I mean, because you also can use their background agents, right? But now you can basically build your own.
You can build your own.
Build your own background agent or whatever, and you have a little bit more control.
Yeah, I think for us, we think about like all these SDKs, especially as being like a framework. Mastra, we have our own agents, we have our own harness, but it's if people really fall in love with these specific harnesses, then we shouldn't get in the way of that. So, expect to see like Codex and Cursor and Claude agents within Mastra Studio. Like that, I would put a bet on that. That's happening very soon.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interest there from a lot of our users, and Open Code is becoming more embeddable in 2.0. So in a similar type of vein, they want you to be able to embed and use Open Code on the server or wherever else you want to run it. So it's very similar in fashion to what the Cursor SDK, and I think there's kind of a general trend around this. Yeah,
it's like the harnesses are becoming frameworks, and the frameworks are having harnesses, right?
Yeah.
So I think everything will coalesce for sure.
Yeah, and we've been talking about for a while. Just we often call them like production agents. It was kind of the term we used to use, and then now coding agents are the surface area is becoming one. So there's a lot of, I guess coalescing happening between those two.
Yeah, and I guess we can also support Open Code in the Mastra Studio. So
yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So Matt Pocock released this thing called Sandcastle. It's built his own software factory. I think it's kind of very similar in veins to like GStack and just that kind of like popularity of things where it's like your own personal productivity. People are announcing their own personal productivity methods, but I haven't looked too much into it. Did you look into Sandcastle at all?
Yeah, it's very similar to like how it works is he has different SDKs for running Claude Code programmatically, Codex programmatically. I'm sure he'll add Open Code Cursor, and you essentially have you can execute all of them through you can expose your own CLI. It's just being programmatic access. You can build your own apps on top of these SDKs. I don't know. I don't really care for it. It's cool though. And I think this whole software factory thing, I guess Jensen really this AI factory concept. Like I've been hearing this word like for the last couple of weeks that everyone's trying to create an AI factory. I don't really know what that actually means anymore. Because if you're just running a harness for your company, is that an AI factory? Like, I don't know. What do you guys think in the comments? Like, what does an AI factory mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things that's probably becoming conflated. I think there's a lot of people trying to treat code as, if code becomes easier, it's easier to produce. It becomes more factory-like. Can you use these agents so one person can control a, quote unquote factory of agents, multiple agents running at once? But I do think that I don't know if there's a clear definition.
Yeah, but also like from like the NVIDIA perspective, that's like about infrastructure, and then you're serving models on GPUs and scaling them. Like, what does it mean in a software AI factory? Like, is that you're just building things from the ground up for your own use case, and then you can then expand from there?
So Dev in the chat says that AI factory is a coding agent plus scheduled tasks.
great.
Yeah, I mean that's a simple version. I don't think that's what everyone else believes. So.
Yeah. Why do we make up all these dumb fucking words, dude? Like every single week. Oh man, it's another thing to have in your vocabulary.
Yeah. All right. Warp is now open source, so that's cool. You know, I know there's some people on the team that use Warp.
Yeah. It's very dangerous that Warp is open source for everybody else that's trying to compete against Warp. So
yeah, so maybe a good move on their part.
also is weird. One last point there is like there was like 2 weeks ago where like people are saying open source is dead.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that recently.
Yeah.
It came up again saying like
Yeah.
open source is, people shouldn't be open source because it's less secure, and but then of course you had the whole open source mafia come in and say actually open source is more secure. Here are all the reasons why. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Warp's open source, so they're part of the party. Welcome,
Yeah,
Warp.
welcome. All right, we have this section quite a bit. It's called Anthropic Ships because they ship things. So Claude now connects to tools creative professionals already use. With the new Blender connectivity, you can debug a scene, build new tools, or batch apply changes across every object directly from Claude. But it wasn't just Blender. They also have connectors for Autodesk. They have connectors for Adobe Creative Cloud, Ableton, Canva, SketchUp, a whole bunch of different things. So they shipped a bunch of different connectors that, of course, the joke is how many startups do they put out of business with each connector, right? Because now there's a lot of people that just built, Blender-like agents for Blender or things like that.
And I think these connectors are through MCP still, under the hood. But I think having creative work like really makes it more exciting because like I've always wanted to use Ableton, but I don't necessarily want to learn how to use Ableton.
Dude, I bought a book. I did a lot of music production, so I have used Ableton. I bought a book, a huge book, back when people actually bought books.
Yeah.
This is like 15 years ago, probably. I read a few chapters, and then I put it on the shelf, and I still have that book. So, but yeah, it's like, I was like, I'll just use GarageBand. It's a little simpler.
Yeah, it's just simple. I used to use like Fruity Loops, like even the simpler one. But imagine if the agent is actually good at the connection, Blender specifically, right? You can start making 3D models.
Yeah.
I remember I think I demoed something long ago about generating Porsche models and then driving them around, and that type of stuff gets really exciting. Obviously I don't know where the consumer aspect of this, how much money you will pay, but it definitely can make you more creative if you're not tangibly creative, but you have ideas, which is the best part of AI.
Yeah, at least it feels like you can try something new, understand it, be somewhat productive with it, and then I think at minimum you might still need to understand the tool eventually, but that as a getting started experience is so much better.
Yeah.
Than going I just always look at the examples like Photoshop back in the day, looking at the interface for the first time. There's so many buttons, you don't know where to start. If you can just start by asking questions, well, the on-ramp is a lot better, even if you do eventually have to understand what all the tools do.
Yeah. I think every application needs to have an agentic piece to it now. Because I was trying to set up Incident IO over the weekend.
Yeah.
And I actually had to click buttons and shit. And I was just like, where's the chat at? Because I don't want to bother learning how to schedule between time zones and stuff. But I had to do it manually. So I think, this is the same kind of concept where the interface has gotten too complicated for people. So you should bring an agent in.
Yeah, and I do think that it's, ultimately it's not just a chat interface. I do think there's still usefulness of UI, but it's the chat should supplement your UI use. So it should teach you if you do want here's where you can go, here's how you can change that in the future, or you can just ask the chat and we'll do it for you.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a good way to kind of morph these two worlds together in a tasteful way. I don't think people are thinking that. They're just throw a chat application in front of it and then or have the UI. But I feel like there's a yes and that you can have both. All right. Cloud security is now in public beta for cloud enterprise customers. That's cool. We got a lot to cover. We're going to keep going. So /goal in Codex CLI. And then we'll talk a little bit about GPT 5.5. So /goal lands in Codex. It's their take on the Ralph loop. Keep a goal alive across turns. Don't stop until it's achieved. What do you think of this?
Super cool. Super cool. We have /goal in Monster Code now as well.
Yeah, we borrowed this idea because
Yeah.
I've ran mini Ralph loops.
Yeah.
And Now I haven't been running those because I just use Master Code, but having something that runs a little bit longer, I think that's
I think initial reaction on the Master Code side of this concept is it's pretty sweet, to have doing a large task, but making sure that the main goal is always like in the loop. I've had some good success with it so far.
Yeah, I saw some posts where people just had 3-hour sessions that
Yeah.
they just let run and did what it needed it to do. Of course, your mileage is going to vary, right?
Yeah.
If you give it a task, you shouldn't expect that it's going to do it perfectly. But if it's well defined, you might have some good results. So I think that's true of Ralph loops in general. True
Yeah.
of any super long running task is your output's only going to be as good as the inputs. But if it is relatively clear, you can actually have longer running agents that should be able to accomplish some pretty cool things.
Yeah.
So this is from OpenAI, just a kind of an announcement post. But 1 week since the launch of GPT-5.5, and it's already our strongest model launch yet. API revenue is growing more than 2x faster than any prior release, while Codex doubled revenue in under 7 days as enterprise demand for agentic coding tools keeps climbing. So I think this is twofold. I think GPT-5.5 is a good model.
Yep.
And I think Anthropic keeps shooting themselves in the foot,
Yeah.
which helps OpenAI's cause. Like I imagine some of that is just natural growth of more enterprise demand. I imagine I know some of that is people moving from Opus 4.7 to 5.5. I know I use 5.5 more. I still use Opus 4.7 a little. I want to compare.
Yeah.
But I say I use 5.5 more than Opus now. I guess where are you at? What do you use more of now?
So I use 4.7 to do planning because Claude is unhinged. So it's a great planner, right? You want to be creative in your ideas, but it loses the plot like when you're doing big execution. So I've been using 5.5 for execution. And on our team, that's kind of trending that way too. I think everyone is kind of sick of Claude in general, especially like Tyler is like super sick
He
of
canceled his
Anthropic.
subscription.
Cancel his
Out of
subscription.
frustration,
Yeah.
out of spite, he just said, oh, "No, I'm
And
done."
he thinks it's like the best agentic coding model. That's from the frontier. I would agree. It's pretty good. I just don't think it's great for planning. It's not a very chatty model. Like if you think your coding agent is your subconscious, like it's definitely not that. It's like it's very like to the point. So I think all these good factors came together.
Man, the chat is blowing up. I haven't been paying attention.
Oh yeah, should we look at the chat?
All right. So, some other things. Isn't AI factory just a fancy word for a workflow that includes multiple AI functions?
You tell me.
Human Jesse says OpenAI Symphony is like an AI factory. Ralph is like an AI factory.
The more we have these, the less confident I am in the definition.
Brent Frazier says OSS is dead. Long live open source. Agreed.
Amen.
I don't know what this refers to, but Master pivots to music. Oh, when we're talking about Ableton. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, we used to use Suno a lot. Yeah, we're-
Still do.
Yeah. We're going to talk about 11 Labs' thing here soon. So Brent says Reaper has built-in scripting, so I want to see how I can connect agents up to it. And then, yeah. And then Sebastian says the chat should be a shortcut, not a replacement. That's referring to the UI. I agree with that, Sebastian. That's kind of my take as well.
Yeah. Thanks for all your comments. This is a live show, so it really helps.
Yeah, this is a live show. We like the comments. And also, I'm going to interject. Go give us a rating if you haven't yet. We do like 5-star reviews, so please, if you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you are watching on Spotify after, go give us a 5-star review. Apple Podcasts, if you're listening, we appreciate you. Give us that review. All right, we'll keep going. So OpenAI released WebSockets in the Responses API. So tell me why this might be important.
Okay, so agent chats. Also, I thought this year was the year of sync. Dev's in the chat. He was on the show last week. Agent chats are going to become increasingly more multiplayer, right? So SSE streams are not the greatest for that unless you're using something like sync or durable streams. Or you just do something that's, been around for forever, which is WebSockets. And, you can connect to multiple clients to the same session. You can start building multiplayer chat experiences or agent experiences. And so Responses API is OpenAI's That's where things actually happen that are stateful, and so that's natural. And I guess we need to start doing some WebSocket stuff ourselves.
We do indeed.
Yeah.
So this is from the AI Security Institute. It says OpenAI's GPT 5.5 is the second model to complete one of our multi-step cyber attack simulations end to end. The first being the Mythos preview. So maybe Mythos isn't as, great as it initially seemed,
Yeah.
right? All the security concerns around Mythos, the touting of that it's this great model that the world can't have. Well, we have 5.5, and it seems like they might be closer
Yeah.
than expected.
Yeah. So maybe Mythos isn't some myth, it's just like a regular model.
Yeah, maybe it's just a little bit better of a model. All right, so there was this post. If AI is so great, why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? So Vass really had this really great post. It's a Vassuman on X, and it says, if AI is so great, why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? I think if you read this post, there's a lot of really good takeaways on just how you should be thinking about building agents. And yes, one of the things people sometimes say is like, well, the models aren't consistent enough. They're not good enough. I think of course, it depends on your use case, right? Like what are you trying to get the model to do? You got to be realistic, but also there's a lot of tips for how you should actually be thinking about breaking down the problem in a way that AI can actually help you solve it. Talking about like human in the loop, talking about how to structure, how to build like agent systems for your internal teams to use that are reliable and useful. So I think there's a lot of good information here if you're building agents, especially if you're building like internal agents for your team. There's a lot of good takeaways I think on here that I can relate to just talking to a lot of users that are building similar things with Mastra.
Like in this article, he also mentions that like the coding software agents are super easy to verify. And that's like where everyone is kind of going for. But these like finance related marketing, like these non-technical disciplines, they require so much more like loops. You have to have verification loops and proper milestoning for your agent. And like it's really hard to verify these non-technical things because you don't have end-to-end tests in real life. I mean, you do, but like nothing like programmatic. So.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why you end up when you're building agents, you have to build those verification loops somehow, right? Otherwise, you can't really improve.
Yeah.
I was talking to a team earlier today, and they were trying to figure out how do we actually prove like they're spending right now, I think, I don't know, maybe $3,000 a week on just token cost for an agent that they built. And it's all like internal improvement agent, helps them with like ticket solving internally. They're a decent sized team. And they're trying to figure out like, how do we prove the business value?
Yeah.
It's like, well, you need a verification loop in order to actually prove that it actually solved the problem, right? It's easier with code because you can say like, okay, we wrote a test, the test passed.
Yeah.
There's at least some level of verification. It's not perfect, but it gives you some confidence. And I think if you're building an agent that isn't specifically coding, well, you need to then build that verification loop in some way.
Yeah. It has to be like a deterministic outcome too. You know?
At least somewhat score it that gives you a confidence that says, hey, this actually did solve the problem, or it actually accomplished the goal.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's always the challenge when you're building an agent that isn't coding, because it's a little bit harder. And maybe that's why coding agents are so much more popular, right?
Yeah.
One, engineers are early adopters, but two, it's easier to write code because you can kind of verify roughly that it works.
There's a last really interesting point in this article, which is like if you see all these efficiencies going up into the right with the models when it comes to coding tasks, I'm going to paraphrase for him, like this is where AI psychosis is coming from, because you're really like disillusioned on where we are in capabilities. Because if you're only judging things based on software projects, then sure, yeah, like you can do anything. You have AGIs here, but if you really take it outside of that, then you would not be as impressed, right? Maybe a lot of people are delusional, AI delusion or AI psychosis. I have AI psychosis. I'll just be the first one to tell you, like, so I'm not just talking shit, but like, I only have AI psychosis about stuff in software engineering because I think I could build a database today, but that's dumb. So
we're going to talk about open weight models that are starting to close the gap. So there was an open weight Chinese model that beat Claude GPT 5.5 and Gemini in a programming challenge. It was like a word game, basically.
Yeah.
And it was Kimi K2.6, I think. We can read the article. But I think essentially was able to beat these other, frontier models in this kind of one specific task that is kind of like a programming challenge or like a gamification, right?
Yeah.
Of trying to win in this game, which is interesting, right? I doubt it was trained on that game specifically, but it was able to now like learn the rules and beat these models in that specific task. Alibaba's Qwen 3.6 27B is the new open weights leader, under 150 billion parameters, scoring 46 on the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index. So Qwen's pumping out some good models.
Better reasoning for lower the price. That's like the economics that we want.
So Qwen 3.5 Plus is basically a frontier model. So, and it's $3 per million output tokens. So it's cheap.
Yep.
There's a Qwen 3.6 35B versus Sonnet 4.6. Which one is better? And you can read this and kind of come to the conclusion, I think, that Qwen was better in this case.
Yep. And they're very competitive.
Yeah.
Which is not good for America.
And in that same vein, Grok 4.3 is still behind Chinese open source models in intelligence, right? If you look at this kind of leaderboard here. So this is the same like Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index, which is, again, just one of the many benchmarks that you should maybe care about. But, it
maybe
is
that Cursor acquisition looks pretty promising,
Yeah, it's like, there's maybe a reason that they think if they team up with Cursor, maybe they can improve. Mistral Medium 3.5 is a new flagship model in public preview. So it merges instruction following, reasoning, and coding into a single 128B dense model with 256K context window and configurable reasoning effort. It's the new default model for Mistral Vibe and LeChat. Released as open weights under a modified MIT license. I haven't seen a lot of hype around it to see how it's actually doing in real life. I think there's always this thought that Mistral's a little bit behind the Chinese open weight models, but it's good to see that they're still shipping.
Yeah, like Mistral is the AI company of Europe, so they have to be in the game.
They need to stay in the game.
Yeah. I don't know any European, though, that uses Mistral besides Mistral employees. So
yeah, we got quite a few people in Europe, and I don't think they're using Mistral. But you got to keep shipping to get back in the game. So it's good to see that they're still around. They're still shipping. Or it feels like we talked about this last week.
Yep.
GitHub's been having some, problems, we'll say.
A lot of problems, dude. They had a problem today.
Yeah, they had
outage this morning. Webhooks and issues were all busted. So
yeah, so this slide is, I was told that thanks for being in the comments and saying that we need to improve the slides. I can zoom in a little bit. That might help. Let me know, Neuro, if that's a bit better. All right. So Wiz Research discovered remote code execution on github.com with a single git push. So the flaw in GitHub allows unauthorized access to millions of repositories belonging to other users and organizations. So that's not great.
yeah.
And with all the downtime, they had to respond. So Mario Rodriguez says, basically had published updates on recent incidents on April 23rd and April 27th. And of course, they had one today, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think they had one even maybe since April 27th. I think there was another one, but at least one more since then. So there's been a lot of issues with GitHub, and you can argue it's because, their quality's going down. You could argue it's because they just have so much more usage now than they maybe had ever experienced before. And so that could also be part of it.
I'm looking at their uptime monitor right now, and there is nothing that is 4 nines. So, except for Copilot model providers, that's 100% uptime. Probably because no one uses it.
So this next section we're calling agents our customers now, because Stripe introduced Link. And Link is the wallet for agents. It lets you securely empower agents to spend on your behalf. Your payment credentials are never exposed, and you approve every purchase. So your agents can spend your own money.
Yeah. And they can, well, last week was Stripe sessions here in the city. So there were a bunch of people in town going to the Stripe sessions. And I think this and integrations were the two popular things from what people took away. And there were a lot of agentic commerce companies in town too, trying to like, throw their hat in the ring. So the space is about to blow up.
Starting today, this is an announcement from Cloudflare, and it was April 29th, but it says, starting today, agents can now be Cloudflare customers. They can create a Cloudflare account, start a paid subscription, register a domain, and get back an API token to deploy code right away. So your agent can now deploy your code for you, which is actually kind of useful, I think.
Pretty cool, especially for dev tools.
Yeah.
I also know Michael from WorkOS wants this reality to exist for every product. So we're on our way.
Yeah. I mean, WorkOS has been talking about it for a while. Yeah. It should be able to just sign up for an account or do things on your behalf.
Yep.
And we're getting there. In a similar vein, this is, from Doula, and I guess it's integrated with Replit, but it says you can now form a US LLC without leaving the AI chat you're already in. So you can essentially your agent can form a business for you.
Off your slop that you just wrote.
Yeah. It's like you generate an app. Maybe it's good, but you can create a business for it all without ever leaving Replit, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. And then you can like sign up for Cloudflare and get your business going, right?
I'm worried about like if people make it too easy. There's a lot of things you have to do once you form a business.
Seriously.
Like do your taxes every year, and like spinning down a business is actually kind of hard, and
Yeah.
changing equity of an LLC if you ever needed to is actually, depending on where you're registering. I'm sure it registers a Delaware company, so it's a little easier. But I am curious, what state does it form an LLC in? I'm guessing Delaware, but
Probably the easiest one.
that's the easiest one.
Yeah.
At least
Should we use this and create a business?
Dude, I don't need another.
I think we're good.
I don't need another business in my tax return.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think it is cool to lower the barriers, because there is always a hurdle of like, do I need to talk to the state? Do I need to get a lawyer? I mean, it's easier. Stripe Atlas made that easier. That was kind of the first thing that made it easier for someone to form an LLC without having to, hire a lawyer or like read up a whole bunch of like government websites that aren't well maintained.
Yeah.
But I guess, just be careful if you're forming a bunch of businesses. There's some costs associated with that. Gumloop agents now have their own email addresses. So you can email them, CC them, loop them into conversations, let them start their own threads. Yeah.
Pretty cool. I think email is going to become a solid primitive. So,
You think so?
Yeah.
What's the use case?
If you want to have your agent represent you, like in conversations with others, you could use that email address as the one that you give out.
Okay.
Agent Mail makes this easy. So shout out to Agent Mail. But let's say if you want to email your agent, I mean, you could just talk to it, but like if you wanted to, your email inbox becomes like a queue, right? So that's pretty interesting.
It's like, I mean, I only push back because I hate email and I'm terrible at it, because it feels like someone else is populating my to-do list. But if it's my agent's to-do list, maybe I don't mind as much.
Yeah. Or like imagine you had like an agent that does your accounts payable or something. Instead of having your AP email, people send invoices to that, which is also dangerous, obviously, because you could just send any invoice. But imagine that. That's just a queue of things that happen. And that'd be pretty cool.
And it verifies the legitimacy processes I mean, I do think it's probably a good way for external parties to interact with your agent in a way that, you can process, gets the email, it kicks off a process, it validates, it does the thing. It probably doesn't, you don't let it do dangerous things without approval, of course. So, I can see the use case. All right, let's talk about some quick hits here. Linear releases came out. This was April 30th. Manage software releases directly from Linear. Track the deployment environment, version, and status of every issue to give team members and agents your full deployment context.
That's cool.
Electric introduced, this was late last week, introduced electric agents. Agents are not compute. Agents are data. Multi-agent is a sync problem. Electric Agents is the first agent platform built on sync. Use it to build scalable, collaborative, long-lived multi-agent systems.
Congrats.
Yeah, congrats to friends over at Electric. This one is cool. I haven't tried it, but I want to because I
Yeah.
want to compare it to Suno. So 11 Labs released 11 Music, a new platform to discover, remix, create, and earn from music, built on the 11 Labs music model.
We're definitely going to give this a spin.
So every week we do this, we kind of do a recap of the week, and we always put together like a Suno song talking about all the things we shipped that last week just for the internal team. Maybe someday we'll share some of these publicly, but
The Monster album.
the Master album, but just internally. And now we got to run it up. We had to A/B test Suno versus 11 Music and see
Yeah.
who wins.
I think like Suno's going to win, but
I think so.
yeah.
But
Well, maybe we'll play something next episode.
XAI has some announcements. Voice cloning is now live via the XAI API. Create a custom voice in less than 2 minutes or select from our library of 80 plus voices to personalize your voice agents, audiobooks, video game characters, and more. So XAI is really trying to compete with 11 Labs.
Yeah. I guess if you're every frontier wants like a voice model, except for Anthropic. I don't think they have one, but
Yeah, Anthropic was always late to the even like multimodal.
mm-hmm.
They were focused on coding and text. Kind of, it's probably why they were so far ahead for a while.
Yeah.
Grok Imagine released something called agent mode. So it says your entire creative workflow just collapsed into one infinite canvas. In Imagine agent mode, you can brainstorm, write, generate, and edit images, then turn them into videos without leaving the page. So it creates a much more, engrossing video creation in media or creative studio, I guess.
There's a lot of cool stuff on Grok Imagine. Like if you go to X, you can see it. I think it's pretty powerful. Like maybe it's a response to the ChatGPT image 2.0. But I don't know what XAI is up to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems like they're still they're always on the peripheral. They're
Yeah.
there. They're shipping some cool things, but they don't quite get the hype of OpenAI and Anthropic. So
Ooh, I'm stoked about this one.
So edit frame emerges from stealth. Agents need video. Edit frame agent skills. You just npm create at edit frame latest, and you can prompt Claude Code, Cursor, Codex, or Master Code to get a working video or a full interactive GUI. And then they have a video that was created just by prompting. We're gonna get Jeremy on the show sometime. He's a friend, and yeah, congrats on the sick launch. If you're, it kind of reminds me of like Remotion, but the cool thing about Edit Frame is I was aware of Edit Frame back when I was doing a platform called Audio Feed, which is like an audio podcasting thing. I'd learned about Edit Frame. They have a really cool syntax, just HTML or React to define videos. And so it's actually really easy for your agents to write HTML and React.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to learn a new language. It's just like a slightly different format of what it already knows. And you can generate really cool videos. So it's pretty powerful. It's very similar to Remotion in a lot of ways, but I think, the syntax is actually much easier for a human to understand.
Yeah.
And you can get a lot of the same
There's
things.
good reception too.
Yeah.
He's been grinding on this for a while.
Multiple years. And I think originally it was built for humans, right? And then I think what they realized, and we'll ask Jeremy when he comes on the show, is when did you decide that what you're building wasn't actually for humans and actually was better equipped for agents? Because I think there was a switch at some point in the last few years of where it became clear that actually this is even more powerful.
Yeah.
Because no one wants to write like HTML video by hand, right? It's like kind of tedious. I mean, people did it, but now it's so much easier.
Yeah. Especially with skills too.
Yeah.
Wow.
So DeepSeek input cache price drop. So DeepSeek is it was already cheap, and now it's even cheaper. So let's talk a little bit about Ramp's in-house coding agent.
You mean their AI factory?
Their AI factory, yeah. So at one point, it was announced that it was writing 30% of all merged PRs, and today it's 70% of all merged PRs, and it goes far beyond just our engineers. So I'm assuming, it's very similar to what, if you've used Devin, I'm guessing they've basically built their own Devin that kicks off and writes their PRs. I would be curious to know, and maybe it says in the data,
Oh, look at
70% of all merged PRs. Does that mean no engineer had to steer it? I'm assuming there was steering involved in those PRs. Like 70% of the PRs were started, and then I'm guessing the engineer had to steer it a bit to get it to the result it wanted. But that's still impressive.
Yeah.
70% of all merged PRs were merged with, even a small amount of steering or even a modest amount of steering. That means it's writing a lot of code for them.
So like the channels are Slack, Linear, GitHub, and more. So maybe like email and stuff. And then they are focusing on 24/7 automations that run. So maybe it really is a coding agent plus scheduled workflows dev. Maybe that's really what it is. And it does. And I, looking into this, there are conversations happening with this agent. It's not autonomous by any means, but some things probably are.
Yeah, I'm sure it's shipping simple things on its own. But all right. Happy Node 20 end of life day. A perfect day to mention. I plan to drop CommonJS in the next minor version of Zod. So for you TypeScript,
We're screwed.
fans, what do you think of this? CommonJS is going away. Maybe.
Just pin your Zod versions, y'all. Pin your Zod versions.
All right. Tell me about TypeScript native previews.
Yeah, so TS7, which is a complete rewrite in Go, we're using the alpha or the beta right now, and type check is like ridiculously fast. But yeah, if y'all want to get on board with the new version of TypeScript, there's still some things that are like left to do, like all your, TS within all of our editors need to have the right language servers. And so right now it's available on VS Code Marketplace if you're still using VS Code, and it's available on NPM. So I would start using it. Everything is a lot zippier in TS7, especially having struggled with the slowness for so many years now. It is fast, bro. I am super stoked. Kind of sad that it's written in Go, but who gives a shit?
Yeah. I mean, we'll take the performance improvements.
Yeah.
All right. So this was a post from Mufiz, said they post-trained Qwen 3 coder to fix bugs using an actual debugger. So the idea is you can use these models that you can like fine-tune or train. You can actually give them a real debugger to use. So you're feeding back the information directly into the model, and it obviously increased the solve rate. So it's kind of an interesting technique and something I think we're going to see more people try, which is just actually giving a debugger to your agent.
Yeah.
NVIDIA announced Nemotron 3 Nano Omni. So it's the latest addition to the Nemotron family, highest efficiency open multimodal model with leading accuracy.
I met that guy before.
Oh, yeah?
Forget his name. I think it's like Alex or something. But he interviewed me at the GTC thing. That's cool. Try it out.
So OpenSlide is a slide framework built for agents. Prompt your agent, get a polished deck.
I'm trying this out this week because I have a workshop on Thursday. I'm going to use this CLI.
Yeah, I would like to see how it compares. So obviously we're flipping through these slides here that were created,
Yeah.
just generated from HTML, right? So I am curious how much better it is. I know a lot of people are just using Cowork and building PowerPoints now, right, from Cowork.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've seen people do that as well. It's so much easier than it ever has been to just generate slide decks.
Yeah, like we were using Google Slides for our workshops, and then now the engineers running the workshops are just generating React essentially for slides. It's that easy.
Yeah, and that's what we do here for the show.
Yeah.
In these slides, right? These are all generated. It's wild time to be shipping slides. So Chris Tate announced AI CLI, generate images, video, and text from your terminal. Pipe them together. It works with any agent. This is pretty cool because you can generate an image and then pipe that to a video, basically a video model to animate that image. So you can use hundreds of models, multimodal comparison, inline previews, and it uses AI SDK and AI Gateway.
Chris Tate's on a tear, dude.
Just seems like every week he's shipping something.
I feel like he's the GOAT right now of just like tinkerer projects, Shout out to you, Chris.
Yeah, we got to get him on the show. So Flu framework was announced last week sometime. essentially it's a framework for building your own agent harness.
Yep. Looks pretty cool. A lot of the ideas are very comparable to what we have going on. And it's kind of pushing us to get our harness out of alpha. We were kind of seeing how like the dust settles. There's a lot of cool ideas in there that we are, evaluating. But very cool, very similar to other things that already exist. So
Yeah, and got a lot of people, a lot of good reception. So I think
Yeah.
the word harness makes people feel a certain way and
Yep.
gets a lot of people excited. So I think that there's a lot of people that are trying to figure out: do I use one of the harnesses that are available? Do I start from scratch and build my own harness?
yeah,
Are there tools for people who want to now build their own harness? And
Yeah.
we've had our harness in alpha for a long time. A lot of people are using it, but I think it's time now to
yeah. Like in this thread, there were a lot of people saying like, how does this compare to Mastra? Like, obviously, harness is one part of what we offer. But a lot of people were like, I really want to use Mastra's harness, but they said it's alpha, so like I don't know if I should use it. And we're like, damn, okay, let's just solve this thing right now. Like,
yeah.
why fight it anymore?
Yeah, we had this big debate of should our because a lot of the harness primitives overlap with our agent primitives,
Yeah.
right? And so it's just like what should live in a harness, what should be in an agent, and that's why we labeled it alpha, right? So we just weren't solid on are these the right APIs
Yeah.
for what a harness should be. But I think we've gotten some clarity, and I think we've started to see how others are thinking about it. And so,
We weren't very wrong. So
yeah, there's not a lot to change.
it's not a lot to change, actually.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's the show.
Dude,
Make-
it's a good show.
Yeah, it was, kind of short and sweet today.
Yeah.
Make sure you're following us on YouTube, on X. You can see all the things here on the screen. Go give us a star on GitHub if you haven't already. We want to say thanks to Code Rabbit.
Yeah.
We've got the sweet office. You've been seeing the great camera angles from today. Great lighting. So we're thankful that Code Rabbit lets us use their studio every once in a while. So
That's
appreciative
awesome.
there. If you need help with code reviews, check them out.
And it actually, CodeRabbit has expanded the feature set too, where you could have CodeRabbit in your Slack, which is a huge channel for most people now. You can have CodeRabbit understand the context of Slack channels and then do work for you, open PRs and stuff. Very much like a Devin-esque thing. So I think what they're calling it is like a brain, the G brain or the rabbit brain for your Slack channels. So check it out, and thank you so much, CodeRabbit, for having us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did have a couple questions. Let's try to answer before
Sure.
we close out. Why not? Carlos says, "Nice studio, nice lighting." Yeah, agreed. It
Thanks,
is.
Carlos. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you, Carlos. All right, and then how do you forget Chris? Okay, that's Chris from NVIDIA. And what's the difference between a harness and an agent SDK? This is the question,
This
right?
is the
This is the
question.
thing that we struggled with when we first announced our harness, is that there is a lot of overlap.
There's huge amounts of overlap.
And everyone's definition of a harness is slightly different. But this is the thing that, there's a reason we left our harness class in alpha, because we weren't quite sure what should be in an agent and what should live in the harness class. I guess, how are we thinking about it today?
We're going to keep a lot of the functionality within the agent, and like a lot of this external state that harnesses have, like switching models and modes and different like skills paths and all that stuff. Like all the stateful actions of this will probably be lifted into this harness layer. We're also going to make sure harnesses are accessible through Master Server. So it's not just a single player thing. You can have instances of them. You can use the harness in the cloud, which then by definition, Master Code could be in the cloud. And then you can start doing things like ramp inspect, right? Where you can have cloud agents you can talk to. But if you really ask me, I don't fucking know, to be honest, still. Like, there's very blurry lines. Also, Claude Agent SDK is actually Claude Code under the hood. They're just executing CLI. So for them, it's the same thing, right? The Agent SDK is not an Agent SDK. It's just Claude Code, which itself is a harness that's being run. So do y'all understand how confusing this gets? But for us, it'll be a little different.
Yeah. So excited to talk more about that in the near future. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yeah.
This has been Agents Hour. We do this every Monday. Usually it's around noon Pacific. We started a little late today, but we're kind of back on schedule. We'll be back next week. We have 2 amazing guests that should be on the show. We'll do the news like we do every week. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
See ya.
Yo, that show's a wrap. We were live in the zone. AI Agents Hour, Shane and Abby on the throne. Did you give us that review? Only if it's a 5. Jump on the tube, make sure to like and subscribe. Yeah, news so fresh, yeah, we keep you in the loop. Guests so fly, they bring the whole troop. AI on the rise, don't miss this power. Welcome to the show, it's AI Agents Hour. Did you just drop in? Is this your first time? Make sure to follow us on X and go like and subscribe. Yeah, learn the principles and patterns in our books. The master.ai site, give it a look. Yeah, news so fresh, yeah, we keep you in the loop. Guests so fly, they bring the whole troop. AI on the rise, don't miss this power. Welcome to the show, it's AI Agents Hour. This is the end, we all wrapped up. Another showdown, another one coming up. AI Agents Hour's done, but the news doesn't cease. Shane and Abby, we out of here. Peace.